What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. This is Living to Learn. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It means a lot to me because I know you could be spending your valuable time doing other things. The fact that you felt this worthwhile and worthy of your attention, shout out to you. And I hope that I come through. I hope I actually can bring something to the table, which that's my intention, right? Bring something to the table that we can all utilize. We can all kind of pick from and analyze and think on, meditate. I'm not saying my answer is the end all be all. My opinion, my perspective, it's where I'm coming from. And I'm hoping that at the end of the day, that's going to encourage you to look within yourself and say, well, I got something valuable to say as well, because you do. You do. I don't care who you are. I don't care how you identify. You have something of substance, of importance to give to your community, to the world at large, to your own circle of influence. And I am hoping that as a byproduct of this channel, which, you know, this is about learning, it's about coaching, it's about advice, but I'm hoping that as a byproduct of the things that I talk about on here, that other people would see what I'm doing and replicate that in their own spaces. And you don't have to do a YouTube channel. You may not be a life coach, but there is some angle in your perspective that only you have. And I want that to be known. And so please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for those of you who have supported me, who have invested in me financially. That means a lot. That boosts my confidence. And if you'd like to be one of those people who donates and invests in this channel financially, there's 3 opportunities there in the description of the video. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, although I've been taking a break. I'll be back on those channels again pretty soon. But thanks for watching me here on YouTube. So February, last video of the month. It's a short month, although I do believe we're celebrating 29 days this week. I got to double check. And one thing about February is historically, at least since 1976, and that's kind of a shame because it should have been going on much longer than that. But at least since 1976, we have celebrated in this country February. We've recognized it as Black History Month. And what that is, again, this is my definition of Black History Month, is it is a recognition and a positive effort to draw attention to the Black experience, the Black footprint, the influence, and the recognition of the distinct plight of the Black American in this country and what they have contributed to our society, what their cultural influence and development over the years, since they were trafficked here, since they were stolen from their land and brought here by force, what they've developed in their community. And it's really the Black story, history, Black history, real Black history in this country. It's sad. It's ugly. It is horrifying, unjust. Yet in all of that, and this goes to show the strength and the adversity and the resilience of the Black community. In spite of that, all odds being against them, they have emerged as a very important part of this thread of American society. And that's coming from myself, a brown person. I'm a brown man. I'm a 3rd generation Mexican American. And what I'm talking about today, and the reason why I'm tipping my hat to Black History Month, and let me give a huge shout out to my Black family members and to my Black friends. But the reason I'm tipping my hat and we're talking about this today is I want to talk about something that has emerged recently, more in the spotlight. I'm sure it's probably been an idea that's been around for a long time. You know, there's always some brilliant person out there that's forward thinking and ahead of their time. But you may have seen this if you're in the job market or you work in corporate America. Maybe your company has implemented some changes and created a department for making sure that the faces of their business, of their institution, look like the faces that are walking around in this country. And I'm talking about DEI. Maybe they've created a department or something new has come about. And DEI is really an attempt to do that, like to reflect all of the faces, not just some, not just a small percentage of the people that are in this country, but all of them, all of the differences. They're different. We're all Americans, but we're all different. And DEI is saying like that should be appreciated. And it should be required that that's acknowledged. And I think that's where some people have an issue. I don't want to get into that so much. But let's talk about it. What is DEI? It stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity meaning a representation of all identities in that space, right? Work, wherever. And that goes across race, that goes across gender identity, it goes against religion, political affiliation, even your socioeconomic background. And diversity is the diversity is saying, hey, this is what we mean by being diverse. We want to be representative of all identities. That's a tall order, but I think it's a great idea, and I think it's very important. Equity, fair treatment. Now this is where it gets tough, right? Not only do we want to be representative of all said identities, but we want to offer equal and fair treatments, equal standards of treatments. And this is where in our country we have quite a bit of differences. We can be indifferent about this type of thing. And I'm not going to say, again, we can talk about this forever. There's so much to get into. But equity, fair treatment. No matter what you identify as, no matter what you look like, no matter how you carry yourself, fair treatment. I stands for inclusion. Ensuring that this space, wherever that space is welcoming every type of person that's present. Welcoming. Like, you're welcomed here. And that's honestly, I mean, when it comes to that, I'm like, that's what I'd like my channel to be. And I've said this before, I want my channel to be inclusive of all. That no matter, again, my own little implementation of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That I see you, and I'm going to treat you like I would treat anyone else, and I'm going to, and not only that, but I want you to know that you're included in this discussion, in this setting, in my channel. But that's DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, I want to say this. As great as this is, as important as it is, because it is important, America is very diverse. One thing that I'll note, and again, I can't speak for the Black community. I don't have that experience, but I can speak from the brown community. I can say this. I can say that while in the same breath we yell out, we want diversity. We want equal treatment. We want equal inclusion. We want a seat at the table. And yes, we should have one. Absolutely. In that same breath, we turn a blind eye or a hypocritical eye to the lack of acceptance and the lack of understanding and the lack of inclusion when it comes to the diversity within our own communities. Because I'm going to tell you like this, I'm proud to be of Mexican descent. I'm proud to be a brown man. But I gotta be honest with you. I've never faced more adversity. I've never faced more exclusion. I've never faced more rejection than from people who look like me. Again, I'll never forget getting ready at a coworker's house, and his mother came home, and I think we were going to some work event, and she greeted me in Spanish. She said, "Hi, nice to meet you. And I responded in English. My name is Josh, nice to meet you. And he looked at his mom, and I'll never forget, he goes, oh, ma, él es uno de estos. He's one of those, is what that means. He's not one of us, he's one of those. Our family friends, the Canales family, shout out to them. Dr. Canales, one of my favorite people. Rita, Koba, Josh. And they're celebrating their son, their brother, David Canales, who just took over as head coach for the Carolina Panthers. And somebody made a reel about just the importance and the significance of this Mexican American, of this Latino being a head coach in the NFL. And it really is something significant, really is something cool and something to celebrate. But man, I'm telling you, when I went in those comments, the people that had the most to say, the people that had the worst things to say, the people that were most critical of Coach Dave, of Coach Canales, were people that look like him, people that look like me, other brown folks. And while I can't speak for the black community, I can almost guarantee you there's some of that in their circles as well. So diversity, very important. Equity, very important. Inclusion, very important. But as people of color, we cannot forget to apply those things within our own circles. Yes, we have a bias. Yes, we're not going to agree on everything. And yes, there's always going to be those ignorant fools. There's always going to be people that just refuse to be educated. They refuse to learn. There's a saying, ignorance is bliss. It's easier for me not to understand a lot. I don't have to think as much. For me, it makes things less complicated. And you know what? At the end of the day, to each their own. Not everyone's going to see it. Not everyone's going to know the importance of it like I do. But I wanted to touch on that because that's my experience. That's my experience in this life. That's my experience amongst my community. That's my experience of, hey, where do I belong? And one thing that I have decided, and I hope you decide the same thing, and I'm going to end on this, because here's the thing, no matter what we've been through, how we've been treated, you and I have a responsibility to take ownership of our responses. And let me tell you what my response is going to be, regardless of how anybody sees me or what they think about me. I belong. I have a space. I have a platform. I might be my own category. I might be my own species. I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. Nobody else has to recognize that. No one else has to see the beauty in the diversity that I bring to this community, to this world at large, to this circle of ours. I have to see that first and foremost. And I do. And I'll tell the same thing to any other person of color. Any other person of a different socioeconomic background. It doesn't even have to do with race. I know white people that grew up way less privileged than I do. It's more complicated than that, guys. Is what I'm trying to explain. And I know it because of my own complicated identity of people just not knowing what to do with me. Where do we put this guy? He's not white, but he's definitely not Mexican. Right? These are the things I grew up with. This is the stuff I've had to deal with. These are the things my kids are going to have to deal with. So I can sit here and I can be upset, or I can say, you know what, people are going to think what they're going to think. I know who I am. And I'm perfectly good in my own two shoes. I am fine standing on my own 2 feet. I know who I am. And so for us, this is what DEI, this is what it represents. We see you. You're seen. You matter. You didn't slip through the cracks. Just because you don't meet all the stereotypical, things about a black person or about a white person or about a brown person just because you don't fit what our society or what I've been projected to put on you, what I've come to expect from you, how you should be. Regardless, you deserve representation. You deserve equal treatment, and you deserve to be welcomed. So take this. Think about this. Think about what this means for us as individuals. And that we don't want to just see this at work. We don't want to just see this at church. But we want to see this at home. We want to see this amongst our circles. Come to recognize the importance and significance and really the beauty in our differences. So thank you for watching. Appreciate your time, and should have got some water. Feel free to check in anytime. Appreciate you watching. Thank you.